The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's live Q&A coaching call. I am your host, Jason Lucchese, and welcome. Before we get started, I just want to make sure you guys could see my screen and you guys could hear me nice, loud, and clear. Just, type your name in and type where you're from so I know where everybody is. I'm always curious to see where people are from. So just type in your first name and where you're from, and we'll go ahead here and get started in just a second. So go ahead and type that in right now. Cool. Sean from Atlanta, Di from Michigan, Linda, Houston, welcome. Dave, welcome. Steve from Virginia, welcome. Jim, Sacramento, welcome. Jeff, from Albuquerque. Mike from Bellevue. Leona from Richmond. Elaine from Grant Park. Tom from the Bronx. Very cool. Well, good. We got a lot of people chiming in, letting us know that they're here. That obviously is giving me an indicator. You could see my screen. Everything's coming in loud and clear. We will be answering some questions at the end, so just know that you could obviously type in your questions at any time, and we'll make sure to get them answered here at the end. So I do have some time to answer some questions. Franco, yes, I am recording this. I will send out a replay link either today or tomorrow. So yeah, Franco, we'll get that taken care of. Roy from Chicago, welcome. Ron from Saskatchewan, Canada, welcome. John from Nampa, Idaho, I believe. We've got Bob from Northwest PA, welcome. All right, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let me get all set here. Let me get my screen set for you guys in presentation mode. So, like I was saying in the email, we are going to evaluate together a package of 26 properties that I received. I received them probably, today is Thursday. I received them, I believe, on late Monday. So, yeah, very late Monday. So I didn't really start evaluating them until Tuesday. So these are all properties within my area, my own backyard, Indianapolis, Indiana. And I just was reaching out to several of our direct sources that we have and was able to come about this 26 property package. And it's always key to evaluate a package within a timely manner because you don't know who else is bidding on it, and you want to make sure that you're evaluating it properly and not just submitting offers just to submit them. There is an approach that I use. You don't have to use it, but it's worked very, very well for us over the past few years. So if there's something else that you have that's working, obviously please share it. I'll be more than happy to share it with the rest of the group that is on right now and the individuals that will be watching this as a replay later on as well too. So let me go ahead and hop right in here. This is the package, and for disclosure reasons, I covered up the address portion because of the agreement I signed with the individual. The individual was a broker, and yes, I typically do not deal with brokers. I only deal with direct sellers, but in this case, and the only cases that I would give, my endorsement or approval on it is if the broker is 100% direct to that seller. And I did get that verified. That was in fact the case. So as you can see right now, it's just 26 properties. It's blank right now, and you're going to see something colorful here in just a second on how I like to evaluate each deal one by one. And yes, I still evaluate my own deals. There's a certain portion that I do outsource, but for the most part, I still do all the initial evaluation, initial due diligence. That's what I do as an active real estate investor. So let's go into what my initial due diligence looks like. I use Google Maps. A lot of you have probably heard me why I use Google Maps, and it basically was from a learning experience. I was going to bid on a property, and I decided, you know what, let me just double check something. And I actually looked at the property because I thought it was too good to be true. And lo and behold, the property was not even there. It was just a vacant lot, and the property I was bidding on, I believe, was probably condemned or demolished by the city. And the individual that had the piece of paper on it was just trying to sell me something that was not legitimate, was not something that could actually be for sale. So Google Maps is a very friendly tool. Obviously, it's free. I look at the street view and the aerial view. It'll give me an indication of if the property is even there, if the fixture is there. So you want to make sure it's there. Aerial view, great. You can see the surrounding area. What I like to do with street view is I like to do the 360 view. I like to see the neighborhood. I know the neighborhoods pretty well within my own area, but if you're investing outside of your state, it's a good resource to just find out the area before you start, doing more due diligence, where you will maybe you found somebody off of Craigslist, they're 100% commission, and you want them to go and take a look at the property, take some pictures for you. Once you get to that point, like, hey, yes, I probably have a buyer for this. Because the only time you'd want somebody that's 100% commission working for you is if you feel like the property package will close after your initial due diligence. After we do our initial due diligence, come up with the pricing, we feel 95% sure that we will get approval, or we'll get a counter that's going to make it worthwhile for us. So with that being said, definitely Google Maps. A lot of you may not want to use Zillow, and I don't blame you, but I use Zillow. Again, this is initial due diligence. I will use Zillow just to get a general feel of what Zillow is giving. That's a great evaluation tool just for initial due diligence. I wouldn't go off of it as like, yeah, that's 100% accurate. Come on, we both know that you're either going to get a very high value, very low value, or you may get it right on the money. But most of the time, it's going to be high or low. It's never really in the middle. And I just want to get a general feel. If a property is saying $45,000 off of Zillow, and I know the individuals are asking maybe high 20s. I'm going to take that to the next step of my due diligence phase. So it's going to move from initial to the actual due diligence at that point. So it's just giving you a general number, okay? And the main reason why I'm going over the initial due diligence with you on this particular training webinar is mainly I want you to know how to quickly evaluate your packages, or if you're just looking at one individual property, this all applies. This is all applicable. And you want to do this fast, okay? This does not take long to do. I believe it took me like maybe a half hour to analyze all 26 properties, maybe even less. But, obviously I've been doing this for a little bit longer. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I could do that as well. You can. You might not do it right off the bat, but maybe after one or two, you can do that. I'm not saying, I'm the all-time best at initial due diligence. This is just something I use, like I said before. What I also do in initial due diligence is I ask for title work. I want to see if there's any existing liens on there that I wasn't made aware of from the seller or whomever I'm working with. In this case, the broker. I want to make sure there's no judgments, there's no other liens is like maybe a second mortgage or a third mortgage, any municipality liens, any tax liens. I want to make sure of that. And if you're brand new to this, evaluating title work is not hard at all. If you need assistance with that, I'd be more than happy to run through some title work for you, as long as it's on a deal that you and I both know will close. If it's just something that you don't feel confident in, let's not waste our time on that. Let's put our time and efforts into something that we feel confident in, and that'll help us both out with learning and moving forward and getting deals closed. Okay, so I also ask up front, what is the ask price? This is, I guess I would say, a persuasion technique that you can use. They're more than likely going to give it to you before you even ask anyways, but just in case, I would ask, what is the ask price? And you're putting the ball in their court, so they're more than likely going to give you their highest and best number right off the bat. I hate the fact that people have to go through like some sort of a car salesman tactic in order to get you to a price that, hey, we both agree on this. We both are going to make money on it. Let's just do this. Let's just get it done at this. I hate going back and forth. I have yet to find one person to just be like, you know what? We've been doing business with each other for a while. Here is the bare bottom number I'm willing to accept. And I understand from their case why they can't do that, and we both know we're in business to make money. But at the end of the day, it's also about forming relationships that you can come back to, back and back and back and back and forth. So you just need to understand from that aspect as well. So another question is, especially if you're dealing with more than like one or two deals at a time, you want to ask for, are there any carve-outs available? Now, a carve-out, I'll explain here in just a little bit. You're basically just asking if, instead of taking all 26 properties, can I maybe take 20, or can I take 5 or 10? And that's typically what a carve-out is here. I'll go a little bit more in depth in that here in just a second, okay? So in this particular case, the ask price for this whole entire package was $34,000 per door, or roughly $884,000. That was the ask price from the broker. So I'm sure the broker put his numbers in there already. So the seller may have been like, I would like to get at least 31 per door, and the broker was like, well, I'd like to make 34, so I'd like to make $3,000 per door. So you have to go into this knowing with an open mind that number has already been increased by the broker, because they want to use that as leverage before they settle on anything with you. Okay, now here's the after package, and I'm going to go through how I came up with the after package. Again, for disclosure reasons, I can't show any of the addresses. I can show the city, state, zip, all that stuff, townships, where everything is, but not the address. Now, all the ones in yellow were the ones I went through, and I felt, okay, hey, we can make some money off of these, because we do buy properties ourselves. We're the buyers, and we do keep properties within our own portfolio. But in this case, we wanted to simply wholesale the package off. We wanted to get it at a reasonable price to where we all had acceptable terms, and we were able to flip it quickly to an end buyer that ultimately wanted all of these properties. And that's what we're doing in this case. So the red ones were pretty much the ones I knew, and some investors didn't want these because they're duplexes, but they're just one bedrooms. They're just one and one, so they're one bedroom, one bath. So they're not the most appealing, and my investor didn't want that, the end buyer, and I like them, but if we could get them for a good price, we may end up coming back and getting those just because duplexes around here do sell very, very quickly from a rental standpoint. So we could get them rented out very quickly. The colors on here that look like they're orange slash gold, those ones were my iffies. They were really close on value, didn't quite meet my expectations. They would make it to round two possibly. And what I mean by that is they would go to round two, and that's when we would actually do more due diligence than Zillow. We would do maybe a BPO or maybe an appraisal or some MLS research. That's what we would do on these particular assets is take a look at these. And these are coming from, they're direct from the seller. These are actual these are actual properties with the seller being the owner of record, and these aren't notes. These are just single family residences. Okay, just to make that clear. And here's the good versus bad. So for this particular property, as you can see, if you go to Zillow, it actually incorporates Google now, and you could actually do the bird's eye and the street view. So you've got both that you can review the property, and you could get a really good idea of what it is. Now, as you can see, the property does not look that great. The Zestimate, as they would say on Zillow, is $45,928. And when I was doing my initial due diligence with seeing what properties they're going for within the area, they do look okay, but for the ask price, I just for the current ask price, I didn't like it. And let me explain why. Zillow's value is around $46,000. The tax assessment value is at $39,000, and there's at least $5,000 to $7,000 in rehab needed. So at that particular point, I knew that there was no spread, and I was gonna just go ahead and pass on that particular deal. Now that doesn't mean I'm passing on the package. It just means that I'm passing on that package. Now I marked it as orange because I wanted to see what our other assessments would be, because in this particular case you can receive a BPO or an appraisal from the seller. They may have got one completed within the last 90 to 120 days. Most of them do have that because it helps out from a marketability standpoint of getting the package sold. So I would ask for that. And in this case, even though I did say to pass on it, I marked it as orange because I wanted to see just what the BPO and the appraisal was at. I know the area pretty well, and I would not pay what they're wanting me to pay for it. It just wouldn't make sense. So I hope that makes sense. Obviously, if you're with me right now, ask some questions if you have them. If you understand everything, great. That means I'm explaining things well, and you're taking in some good notes, hopefully. Okay, so let's go on here to another good versus bad scenario. In this particular case, this property looks really good. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, about 1,500 square feet. The Zestimate is right around $60,333. The actual neighborhood itself is doing quite well with a 2-bedroom, 1-bath at that same square footage. And the rental average is $729, and I know for a fact we're getting right around that. So this one looks good, and I'll explain why. Why is it good? Well, Zillow's value came in at $60,500. The tax assessment value is at $20,100. It is, in fact, move-in ready and can be sold at retail. So it has a nice spread, so I would move it on to the next steps. That would get a yellow color from me. That would mean move on. That does not mean, yes, let's make an offer. That just means move on to the next steps. As of right now, the initial numbers look great. I'm ready to move on to the next part of my offer. Okay? And that would be, again, BPO, appraisal, MLS comps. That'll give me a better feel for the area. I would send somebody down to take pictures of the whole entire property. Obviously, we're more than likely not going to get in, so it's just going to be all exterior. And that would be fine for me because I could pretty much tell if it's a win or not. And as of right now, somebody is renting it. So obviously, somebody's living in there. It's habitable, at least. And if something was dramatically wrong with it, we can tell by getting an inspection on the property because inspections are allowed. I was actually asked about that if I wanted to get any certain inspections on the package. So you can most definitely still get inspections. That can be an out for you if for some reason you don't like the results of the inspection. So just keep that in mind. So the carve out. Let's discuss the carve out really quick. So we've got this right here. I've obviously identified, I definitely don't want the two that are in red. That definitely means stop. The ones that I have in orange, there's 5 of them. And I'm teetering back and forth on them, just to be honest with you here. We've got 5, so, yep. So I'm looking to bid on probably 20 of these, if not possibly the whole package, just because I want to see what they would give me for the duplexes, if that makes sense. I don't want them if we can't come to a reasonable price, just because we're getting such amazing rent spreads. It just makes sense. So the carve out in this particular case is I did ask up front if a carve out was allowed, and yes, it was. So I knew right off the bat that I could review the whole entire package. And after initial due diligence, I found that 19, 20 of these were actually really good, and I wanted to move forward on them. So that's what the carve out means. I want to just make an offer on the 19 or 20, and that would allow me to move forward with making an offer. So at that point, that's what the carve out means. It's pretty simple. Carve out's just a term that's used within the bulk package business, so it's nothing major. If you don't understand what it is, now you do. So let's I went through that information pretty quickly. I didn't really put a whole bunch of in-depth details in there, but I want to make sure that before we leave, that I answer questions for you. I did prepare, a lot of time to answer questions from you. So if you can type in your questions right now, I'll answer them. Just type them into the GoToWebinar box. If you want to chat with me, go ahead and raise your hand. All you need to have is a built-in microphone on your desktop or laptop. Or if you're calling in from your phone, that will work as well. And we could go ahead and speak to one another, and you could ask your questions. So let me go ahead and get to the questions box here and see what kind of questions we have. We'll go ahead and get these answered. And again, if you would like to speak, just go ahead and raise your hand and we'll go ahead and talk. So let's hop into some of these questions. We've got Sean C asking, what is the asking price? Again, Sean, the asking price was on this slide right here, where it says they wanted $34K per door, and that would roughly equate to about $884 for the whole entire package. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Sean. Okay, those two examples are a part of the package. So they're all a part of this whole entire presentation that I've been going over, that's a part of the whole entire 26 unit property package. So those are not, just one-off properties. That's a part of the whole entire package. So I hope that makes sense. Uh, Dav is asking, are tax assessment values accurate? No, they're not. They're pretty much as accurate as Zillow is. Um, if you ever want to get like your taxes readjusted because you feel like the value is too high, sometimes they're too high, sometimes they're too low. I wouldn't say anything if they're too low. It just makes sense because your taxes will go up if you ask for it to be higher. But if you do feel like it is higher, you could show an actual appraisal. I know that that's how it works here in my county, and they will actually lower the assessment value to the accurate value that you've given them with the appraisal, and that would in fact decrease your taxes. Okay, so no, I would not go off of just tax assessment values as well. They, for some, I'd say they're probably 10 to 15% off, and that could be off by high or lowness. So again, it's going to give you your general ballpark number, and that's essentially what you want. You want a general ballpark number. Next question is from James N. Was that BPO or PPO? And what is it again? BPO. So B is in boy. Broker price opinion is what that means, James. So a broker price opinion is something that you would get from a real estate broker. It comes in a similar format as an appraisal, but it's not an appraisal. It's just a broker giving their opinion of that particular subject property. And they actually use MLS comps just like an appraiser would. So you could probably spend 50, 60 bucks on a BPO and get an appraisal pretty much. They're pretty much appraisals instead of paying $350 for an appraisal. So it saves you quite a bit of money. Okay, so let's go here to Gary. Have access to MLS. I could just use the comps from that. Yes, absolutely, Gary. The MLS will give you solid information. So that's exactly where I would recommend. Bernard, I missed the beginning of the call. Where were you presented with a deal to buy so many properties at once? That's a great question, Bernard. I did mention in the beginning, but I will mention it again. We do a lot of connecting on LinkedIn, and we were able to connect with an individual through one of our sources on LinkedIn, and we were able to receive this package. This is one of our smaller packages that we receive, but this was one I just recently received, and I wanted to go over it with you guys today because I felt like we needed to do a content call for you all. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to do this. And I believe Martha was asking if she could see the initial due diligence screen. Absolutely, Martha. There you go. Is that the screen that you're wanting, Martha? If it is, just let me know yes. If you want something else, let me know too, Martha. I'll be more than happy to help you. Judy. Okay, good. Thanks, Martha. So do you normally pick out the best properties to keep for yourself? This is a great question. Judy's asking, so do you normally pick out the best properties to keep for yourself and then to wholesale the remainder to other investors or wholesalers? And how much time does it normally take for you to evaluate the whole entire package? Great question. Judy, on bigger packages, we typically will do something to where, like, say for instance, there's a 100-unit package, and we know. Well, let's just say this: we know it's for $1 million. They want $1 million for it, and we're able to get the $1 million from one of our investors, and we want to keep 5. So we know we could still sell the package, and we know it's still going to be a great package to our investor, whoever the end buyer is, for 95 of the packages of the 100 properties that are in there. We want to keep 5, so there's 95 left. So in that particular case, we would keep the 5. We would get title of that at time of closing, and now we can keep some rental properties within our own portfolio, or if we want to rehab them and sell them, we can do whatever we want with them at that particular case. So you just have to make sure that it's still a good deal for your ultimate end buyer, your investor. And if it is, then pick out the ones that you want and cherry pick them, and you'll be able to get that taken care of on a particular deal that you would work out. It's pretty simple. The second part of your question for evaluation, I would say for me, it would take a day or two, just depending on if I can get proper title work and some sort of a BPO from the seller. If I can't get that stuff right off the bat, it'll take me 2 days. It'll take me a day and a half, 2 days to get the rest of that taken care of, just because I'll have to go to a different length if I didn't have that useful and very helpful information. So that's where I typically would be. So Castle says Jason, and that was it. I don't know if you had a question in there, Castle, but if you can send back your question, that would be great so I could answer it for you. Sean, I'm a complete beginner in REO and real estate investing in general. I started working with a partner who suggested that REO would be the way to go, but starting to think he doesn't know that much. That being said, I talked to many banks, asset managers, and now have access to numerous tapes. What would you suggest, or is your assistance mentorship available? Sean, absolutely. If you would like to get started with working with us, we would be more than happy to do that. If anybody would like to schedule up a time for us to chat, I'm going to enter in the box right now where to go, and it's a free strategy session. There's no charge, so I'm going to type that in right now. It's getOnTheInside.com/case study. So let's. I'm sending that to everybody. Can everybody let me know that they received that link? It's in the chat box. It's on your GoToWebinar control panel. If you can see that link, it's getOnTheInside.com/case study. If you could just type in, okay, Thomas, okay, great. Judy, thank you. Terry received it. Okay, great. Sean, just go there and fill out, submit for a free strategy session. Again, no cost at all. Go ahead and fill that out. Anybody else that's interested in go ahead. Be more than happy to speak with you guys. You would speak with either myself or my business partner on that particular part with the coaching and mentoring. Would be Matt Andrews. I believe most of you know him. He's been doing a lot of calls with me lately, so that's who you'd speak to. So Sam is asking, is it part of the package, or are you asking the bank or AM for the title work? Again, great question. I would be asking the seller. So whoever the seller is, if I'm working in this particular case, this is coming from a private seller, not a bank or a hedge fund or a private portfolio management group. This is coming directly from a private seller, that the private seller is working with a broker. Okay, the broker has reached out to us, and that's how we have found it. So I would ask the broker for that, since they have the direct seller relationship. Now, in order to make sure you're not dealing with a daisy chain, what I did in this particular case was I asked the broker if I could just have a conversation with the direct seller to make sure that this is all still available. And we did a quick conference call, did that. You do have to sign a non-circumvent, non-disclosure agreement. That's very standard. Go ahead and sign it, and you'll be good to go for doing whatever type of communication that you would need to. Gary is asking, what kind of agreements would you use to wholesale to investors generally? Assignment contract would work just fine, or a fee agreement. We use fee agreements on packages that we would like to collect points on. We use an assignment contract for a property that we're not going to actually close on, but we'd like to collect an assignment. They're pretty much somewhat of the same thing. In this particular case, we would close on this package with transactional funding, and then sell it to our end buyer the same day. So you just have to weigh out which one is going to yield you the highest net profit after everything is all said and done. Okay. Sean, yes, we definitely can. Yeah, just go ahead and fill out that information, and I'll be more than happy to set up that strategy session with you. KJ, so your answer is yes. Not sure, KJ, if you had a question earlier. KJ, if you have another question, just let me know. Castle, if you can, I don't know if we're having there's probably a lack of communication on our side, but I have not received any packages from you. So if you can, I'll type in my personal email to you, and you go ahead and send them there. Again, we're not working with any daisy chain product, so if I'm just making this not just aware to everybody right now, but everybody that's listening to it as a replay. We will not look at any daisy chain product. We will talk about broker deals as long as we can talk to an actual direct seller, the actual one that's the owner of record on title. Okay. Who does the title work, or what service do you use? We just use a local title company. Highly recommend you get on board with a local title company. Typically an investor-friendly one is perfect, and you're good to go. So yeah, we use a local title company. Thomas is asking, do you buy the whole pool and then sell them off? We typically have the buyer in place before we close. So we make all the closing arrangements to where we could all close on the same day. Okay. KJ, I'm on the iPad. Okay, Castle. Castle, I just gave you the information, so you should be good. Greg, how's it going, buddy? Haven't talked to you in a while, man. You do this in the initial due diligence period, then you do go through more due diligence. Yes, Greg's question was, you do this initial due diligence prior to submitting an offer, then would you go through more due diligence? Yeah, the second part of that would just be getting more into the values. Greg, the initial due diligence period pretty much solves a lot of what I want to get accomplished, but the initial part also doesn't really cover the evaluation process from making sure the values are the values. So what I typically do at that point in time is, just check the MLS, check CoreLogic, I'll check, with an appraiser, I'll check with a broker price opinion, whatever I need to do to make sure that the values are coming in where I need them to come in at. Okay. Well, let's see here. Are we Thomas? Thomas, these are privately held properties. So they're not REOs and they're not notes. They're just regular single-family residences. Gary, are any of these properties listed, and does it matter? No, all of these are off-market assets. You would not find them listed for sale. They're not listed. And yes, it matters to us because we want to make sure that the assets that we're purchasing are completely off market. Nobody else has access to them. And in 85-90% of the cases, people don't have access to what we have because of the relationships we create on LinkedIn and other sources as well. Thomas, yes, we use transactional funding. Transactional funder we use is besttransactionfunding.com. Again, that's besttransactionfunding.com. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions that we have that have come through. Thanks for your time. If you guys would like to set up a strategy session, feel free to go to getOnTheInside.com/case-study. I put it in the chat box, but if you have further questions, want to set up a strategy session, it's completely free. Go ahead and do that right now. Look forward to talking to you guys. And actually, as we're talking right now, Roy, yes, Roy, we would possibly be interested in that package. So go ahead and send that. I'll shoot you my email right now, and maybe we could have a chat about that particular package. Okay? But again, thank you guys for all of your time. Michael or Michelle S. The website is, I'll type it in for you right now on your page. It's just getOnTheInside.com/case-study. And you should be good to go with that. Again, it's a free strategy session. All right, I will update you guys after we get this package complete. And if for some reason we don't, I'll inform you of that as well. But with that being said, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to attend this. If you have additional questions, let us know. And until the next time, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.